Okay, and now today I want to talk to you about this one thing, what I mentioned last time, recurring versus one-time revenue. Why every business should have both. And the reason every business should have both is because if you only have one-time revenue, and a good example of this is interior designers, um, construction, other people, right? Other professions, estate attorneys, you're never stop hunting for projects. You can't have predictable business, which is why a lot of estate attorneys start doing taxes as well, which is another conversation. But, um, that's the reason, because you always have to be in the hunter's seat. And that's not a comfortable position because you can never know how this year is going to work in terms of money. You can never know how this year is going to work in terms of your income, profit, hiring, firing, all of that jazz. And so that's why I highly recommend, and I recommend it's in my book, this book, I recommend to have both. And the reason is this: when you have recurring revenue, you have something you can count on. Of course, you can have a situation where you maybe a recurring client will leave or whatever, but it's inevitable in any business. But at least you can have predictable flow of work and revenue that you can count on. And so that's very important. In terms of having one-time revenue, once you have subscription, whether it's subscription based or it's just package service or whatever that is, monthly service, weekly, whatever, once you have that done, you have the ability to have that predictable cushion that you can always count on. But when you don't, that's a problem, right? That's when you're in the hunter's seat. And I've certainly had a number of clients, and it's always extremely stressful because you live from project to project, from payment to payment, and it's almost never, like, it's extremely stressful for you as a human being. And so what I recommend is having a certain amount of recurring revenue, as much as you possibly can, having a business model that includes that. And then also the other thing is that you should have one-time revenue as well, because once you have recurring revenue, you have built capacity, whether it's you working or somebody that works for you working, whatever that setup is. That's kind of how you would know how many man hours you need, or girl hours, or whatever that setup is, how many hours of employees' time you need, how many hours of your own time you need. And if you have capacity, kind of like, you will know exactly what's going on, when the work has to be done or can be done, and what that looks like time-wise. Otherwise, you can get overwhelmed really quickly. And so what I recommend is definitely at least starting with that. And it can be really hard for design businesses, right? But there's also other things like, design businesses could, there's a type of design, especially interior home design, where a designer would not only make the design in terms of what color the walls should be, or ceiling, or type of chandelier, or whatever, but they actually also tell you, here in this little corner, there's a little table and a little vase goes on it. Well, they will help you purchase and find all of those items, right? The table and the vase and all of that. And so the idea is that this could be an ongoing subscription model where, for $15 a month or whatever, we can give you resources for X, Y, and Z. I don't know. Real estate agents can do it, and you can do it too for your business. And so a combination, recurring revenue plus one time. One time will always support you in terms of having extra revenue, taking on projects when you have the time capacity to take them on, which you will know if you have recurring revenue, right? And so that's kind of the idea. The idea is that you would have both, and that's where really the power is. And so I highly recommend it, both recurring and one time. One time could be a bonus, which is awesome, depending on the business, but both is preferred. And I hope that you can implement it in your business. And if you don't, let me know in the comments, and I will give you some ideas if you're not sure how to implement it in a specific business, because it's harder for some, it's easier for others, but every business can implement some version of that. Talk to you soon. This is Tatiana Sawyer.